Hi, John with eTrailer. If you're ready for a cargo rack or a bike rack on the back of your Volvo, but you don't want the look of a trailer hitch full-time, well then check this out. This is Stealth Hitches rack receiver hitch that we installed on our 2020 Volvo XC40. Now first off, we've had a lot of questions about the kick sensor and having a hitch installed on your Volvo XC40, and one thing I can tell you for sure is that the kick sensor is still going to work with this Stealth hitch. Now obviously the draw to this style of hitch is going to be the fact that it's removable. And what I mean removable, the receiver portion of it is completely removable when you're done with your bike rack or cargo rack. Now keep in mind, this is not set up for towing. If you're looking for something like this, but you're going to do some part-time towing as well, we have another kit that's going to have everything you need, wiring and the ball mount and everything else. This one is just going to be set up for bike racks and cargo racks. Now speaking of those accessories like that, there's a couple of things. You're not going to get a pin and clip with this receiver hitch, but most of your accessories are already going to include an anti-rattle device or a pin and clip with it, so keep that in mind. But if you do need one, it's going to be a 5/8 inch pin and clip that you need for this. Now as far as capacities, on this you're going to have 350 pounds of downward force, of tongue weight rating on this. That's going to be plenty if you want to load up a cargo rack, or even some of your larger bike racks are going to fit perfectly on this. Now let's see how this Stealth hitch fits on the Volvo. Ground clearance for one. So we'll check from the ground to the top of this inside collar here. We're looking at 13.5 inches. The other measurement we like to get is going to be from the center of the pinhole to the edge of the fascia, and on this we're about even, so that's good to know. If you have any fold-up accessories in a stowed position, more than likely they're not going to impact the back of the fascia. Some of the other nice features I like about the Stealth hitch, it's going to be lockable. You're going to have a lock cylinder over here on the driver's side. It's great for security. That way, if you also have one of your accessories that locks as well, you can be sure that when you leave that everything's going to be nice and secure. When you're done using your accessories, it has a nice plug that's going to slide up inside of here and keep the cylinder dust free and free of moisture as well. Now final thoughts on this hitch. I like Stealth hitch, especially on the Volvos like this. This is going to be a premium hitch, and their quality really is second to none. The finish on it, this powder coat, is strong and durable. It's going to have your reinforced collar, and they include everything in the kit that you need to get this on your vehicle. They even include plastic clips if you break anything, getting some of this fascia off. Speaking of installation, yeah, that's right. This entire rear fascia has to come off to install this, because it actually replaces your bumper crash beam back here. Now, it's very involved. And everybody has a little bit different skill level when it comes to installing these things. So I think if you have a little bit of time and space, you can get this done in your garage. You know, it being in a shop environment like this, it can be a little bit overwhelming when you're at home, but this really is kind of straightforward. They did a good job with the kit. If you want to see if you can tackle something like this, stick around. We're about to show you how to install it. Now before we begin our installation, it's important to note we're going to be removing this entire rear fascia here. So you're going to want to make sure that you have a space set aside for it, like even a floor with a blanket will work good for you. So to begin with, we're going to open the rear hatch. You're going to see two bumper plugs here, and these need to come off. You can grab them and turn them counterclockwise and pull them out. You're going to want to do this on both sides. Now you may notice blue painter's tape here and on the taillight. This is just to protect the paint when we remove it. Now, the next step is going to be removing this wheel trim piece. For that, we need to go to the front of the rear tire. Now for this, you're going to need a T25 Torx bit, and it's going to need to be a lower profile wrench here that's kind of limited in room. You're also going to need a pick. So inside of here, you're going to have two T25 fasteners and then a plastic rivet. Now for the plastic rivet that's out here on the edge, you're going to see a center section on it. You just need to push on the center section and it's going to click. Then you can grab the outside of it and pull it out. This mud flap will have kind of a retaining clip, kind of push up on it and pop it off like that. Now to remove this wheel well trim, we're just going to pull straight out. There's going to be plastic clips on the inside. One thing I do like about the Stealth hitches is they give us extra clips if any of these break. Just going to bring my hand and I'm just applying pressure straight out. So just be careful that you don't crease this or put too much pressure on it. So this one popped off pretty easy, but as you can see, we had one clip remain in here and the rest of them are on. We need to get this clip off before we reinstall the wheel well later. So I've got a trim panel tool. We're just going to pop this out. Make sure you reinsert it into the inside of the wheel trim ring, and then you're going to be set up to reinstall it. Now with your T25 again, you're going to have 5 fasteners running down the inside of the fender well here. You need to get these removed. And keep in mind that everything that I'm doing on this side of the car, on the driver's side here, it's the exact same process over on the passenger side. So whenever we're done doing this and you jump over to the other side, you can expect the same process. Now once you get both sides done, come around to the back of the Volvo here and you're going to have 2 T25 screws that we need to loosen up. Now we did notice on this step underneath that the directions are a little bit different than the car we have here. The car that we have has a trim panel piece here that needs to be removed. So this is going to pop off just like all the other trim panels. Just pulling out and applying pressure. And then underneath of this, we're going to have 2 T25 torque screws on each side that need to come out. Now for this next step, you're definitely going to want some help. I've got Joe from eTrailer here. It's going to help me out on the other side of the fascia. We're going to pop this off, and I've got a trim panel tool here that's going to be useful if we need it. Sometimes we do. These tabs can be a little hard to work around sometimes. So I'm pulling on the bottom. This is going to be the tough part right here. I was pushing. It's usually this one right here that's going to hold it on, and that's what was holding it on for us today. Now, we don't want to pull too far back. We are going to have a connector. I've got one over here, and it looks like that's the only one. So this one's nice and easy. We're just going to pinch and disconnect. Then we can set our fascia off in a safe place. Now grab a 15mm socket. You're going to have 3 flange nuts on either side that are holding the bumper beam on. Now you can remove the factory beam, and then we're not going to be reusing the bumper beam or the flange nuts. Now we can take the Stealth hitch and we're going to install it on the Volvo. We're just putting it right over the factory studs. And for right now, these are going to come in your kit. These are going to be lock washers. We're just going to put these on loosely to hold the hitch in position right here. It's going to take 3 per side. Now in addition to the locking nuts here, in your kit you're going to have a hex bolt, some flat washers, a lock washer, and a nylock nut here. Some of the Volvos are going to have this hole here that's on the car. It's going to be threaded. And if that's the case, then you're going to use the lock washer and the flat washer, and you'll thread that into the Volvos. Ours today is not. So on the back side, we're going to be using another flat washer and then the nylock locking nut on the back. You want to do this on both sides. Now once you have everything in position, make sure your hitch is centered left to right. There's not a whole lot of movement, but there is enough that if it's off a little bit, you can go ahead and center it up. And then you can just tighten down the flange nuts. That's the same 15 millimeter. This bolt is going to be 17 millimeter. So snug them up and torque them to the specs that you find in your installation manual. Once you have your hitch torqued down, we're going to install the rack receiver. Now when you get it, it's going to come in the box like this. And you're going to have 2 big bolts and some nylock nuts here. Need to pull these off. And then the bottom, you're going to have a plug. Your keys are going to be inside the cylinder here, so make sure you get those out. And then on one side, you're going to have a lock cylinder. The other side, you're going to have a handle. The handle goes on the passenger side. So you're going to match up the holes in your hitch, insert the bolts from the passenger side to the driver's side. The reason we do that is so that you have room to operate this latch. There's no washers on either side. It's just the bolts and these nylock nuts. Get these snugged down. These are going to be 15/16 on both sides, and then torque them to the specs that you're going to find in your installation manual. Now we flipped our fascia over, and we need to trim for the hitch here. In your instructions, you're going to have a diagram showing you how to trim this out and how to reposition your kick sensor wires here. Now on our Volvo today, this is different than the instructions show. So we're going to be doing things a little bit differently. More than likely with this setup, we're going to be moving our kick sensor wires just over to the driver's side a little bit, and we're going to trim up this way. Your kit, you're going to include some blocks and some zip ties that are going to help you secure your kick sensor wires. So we're going to get this trimmed up. We'll show you what we did. I'm going to be using an oscillating tool today to trim this plastic out. You could probably trim this with either a razor knife or some aviation shears as well. This is pretty pliable plastic. We just wanted to show you the end result of what we ended up doing. Of course, this panel out here we trimmed to the same size as what we trimmed before, but that's got to go on later because we've got to install it onto the vehicle. But as far as the kick sensor goes, this is going to be the center of the license plate right here, and we biased it off to the side a little bit. That way, if you have your hitch installed and you have a bike rack or something that's kind of bulky, we're just going to be kicking off to the side. So keep this in mind that this will be affecting your kick sensor performance from the driver or passenger side. Now it's time to reinstall the fascia. First thing we want to do is get it close enough that we can connect this electrical connector right here. Thanks, Joe. And then kind of just line up your tabs, and you want to start from the middle. Now once you get the fascia snapped into position, just go ahead and reinstall the fasteners in the reverse order that you took them off. Now when reinstalling your wheel trim over here, just insert the tab first. And then go ahead and pop all of the connectors in. Now once you get all the fasteners tightened down, pat yourself on the back because you're finished. And that's going to complete our look at some of the features and the installation of Stealth Hitches Rack Receiver Hitch on our 2020 Volvo XC40.